sis. Welcome back to another episode of For My Sisters with Delle podcast. I'm glad that you're here joining me today. And as you can see, we're talking about what about your friend, sis? Okay, we're going to talk about it. But before we dive into today's topic, I want to remind you to look at the show notes or the description box down below if you're watching on YouTube, because that's where all the goodies are at. That's where you can find the links to join any of my newsletters. That's where you can join the community group if you are a Christian single woman and you're looking for community, you're looking to participate in events and experiences, you're looking to develop yourself as a woman through e-courses, workshops, and all of the things, then make sure that you tap into Single and Saved in the City. You can find us on Instagram at Single Saved in the City, or you can find us on Facebook at Single and Saved in the City and request to join the private Facebook group. You'll see a purple icon in the circle. Also, make sure you visit the website and join the newsletter, singleandsavedinthecity.com. Last but not least, make sure that you check out my apparel line, Royalty and Righteousness. Go to royaltyandrighteousness.com, get you a cropped hoodie, get you a t-shirt. All of the clothes are really, really cute. Most of them are eco-friendly and sustainable. On top of that, super soft, breathable, just premium materials. So you won't regret it. I have a ton of things on there. I even have some throw pillows that I just launched in the Sabbath Rest collection. So if you tag me on Instagram or Facebook at Royalty and Righteousness, both platforms, I'll repost you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about it, sis. All right, I want to talk about friendships, and not just any old thing about friendships, but I particularly want to talk about normalizing friends who call you out on your mess, okay? Because I feel like there's this misconception that someone that calls you out is a hater, someone that has something negative to say about something that you're doing, maybe a decision that you're making. They're a hater. They don't want to see you win. But the reality is sometimes you need that negative feedback, that constructive criticism so that you can grow. You know, I don't want any yes men around me. I don't want to be surrounded by a circle of yes men that just go along with what I say and always agree with what I do. I mean, I don't want to be bickering at each other's throats all the time either, but I feel like the type of people that I run with and the type of person I am, we don't really need to argue that much anyway, because most of us are like just honestly in our own little world. Like we talk, but we're not like up each other's behinds all the time. And we are very smart, wise people. So there really is no need a lot of the time to be called out, but we're not perfect. You know, there are instances where we're just dropping the ball, you know, we're missing the mark. And I'm grateful that I'm surrounded by people. Now my circle's small now, but I'm grateful for my circle that does call me out. I mean, at this point, my circle's so small, it's practically a triangle. Like I don't really run with a lot of people. Your girl is a lone wolf in these streets. I got associates, I have colleagues, you know, because even though I'm a content creator and an entrepreneur, I see people that I meet online as like colleagues, you know, because Instagram is like work. You know how you have those friends that you talk to at work over the water cooler and stuff? Like that's work for me. So, you know, a lot of them are just co-workers, you know, co-laborers or whatever the case may be. But I did want to read the Merriam-Webster definition of friend, just so we can kind of define, for the sake of this conversation, like what a friend is, you know, just visualize in our minds, because we all have our own definition of like what a friend is. But let's go to Merriam-Webster, see what she had to say. She had to say. So their definition is a friend is one who is attached to another by affection or esteem. Now, the Bible does allude to some aspects of friendship. I don't think the Bible has one solid definition to say, boom, this is what, you know, God says friendship is, or what the word says friendship is. But the Bible does give us characteristics. So like a friend sticks closer than a brother, you know, two are better than one because they have each other to help if should one fall, you know, iron sharpening iron. Like there's different things that we could pull out of the Bible and say, yep, I want that in a friend. But one that stuck out to me in particular was Proverbs 27:6. And it says, wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. So essentially what that means is like a true friend hurting you, it's not intentional. So even if they hurt you by what they say or what they do, if that's a true friend, it's from a place of love. And it's better for a friend to hurt you with the truth than to comfort you with a lie, like an enemy oftentimes will do. An enemy, just because someone is bigging you up and, you know, cheering you on and showing you love, quote unquote, and all that, that doesn't mean that they really are supporting you. That doesn't mean that they even really want the best for you. And they're not as invested a lot of the time, you know? So not to say that you need to be suspicious of everyone showing you love and be like, oh, I don't trust none of you. Like, no, like take the affirmation, take the love, but be alert and understand that not everything that glitters is gold. And so I thought that was very interesting because a kiss from an enemy or a hoorah or a way to go from an enemy or cheering you on from an enemy can lead you down the wrong path longer than you should be. Because the people that see you going wrong, doing things that they know are not right, doing things that they know are not even in line with your character and your convictions and your moral compass and stuff, and they don't say anything, I would question if they're really even your friend. Like real talk, because if I consider you to be a friend, I can only speak for Rondelle. But if Rondelle considers you to be a friend, oh, I'm going to be telling you something because I care. When I stop talking, I don't care. Like I really don't. And that's not a good look. And that's not just for friends. That's for relationships, family, you know. And when I'm silent, that's when you need to be worried because it's like, oh wow, like she's not saying anything. And I'm not a nagger, you know. I'm very laid back. My personality is very like laissez-faire, like que sera, you know, just for the most part, I'm organized and like strategic and stuff, but I'm very type B at the same time. It's weird. Like I'm just a combination of things, you know. I'm a multifaceted, layered woman. It's hard to put me into words, but I'm very laid back, like hyper type B. Outside of when I need to get stuff done. So I'm not gonna just be down your throat over every little thing, but I want the best for my friends. I want to be surrounding myself with people that want the best for themselves. You know, birds of a feather flock together. It's like the saying, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. Like if all of your friends are out here cutting up, acting a fool, all that type of stuff, you're guilty by association. I know it's not right, but it's just the way the world works, you know, because what else are we to deduct from that situation? Obviously, there's something here that attracts you to this kind of circle that is attracted to drama and chaos and bad decision making and has no ambition or goals or whatever. Like there's something that resonates with them out of you. Like there's something connecting you guys. So, you know, I just feel like if you're going to be a friend of mine, I want you to be the best that you can be. And I'm not going to allow you to even settle for less for yourself. And I'm definitely going to be pouring into you and being like, hey, like, you're better than this. You know, this is not what ideally you should be doing. I'm going to be supportive, but just know, like, at the end of the day, I personally can't rock with this. Like if this goes to a certain level, I will have to just create a healthy boundary there for my own emotions too, because I'm an empath. Like, and my fellow empaths out there, you know, like it's different to sympathize with someone and have compassion. But when you empathize with them, when you have empathy, like you put yourself in that person's shoes. I insert myself into that person's emotions or surrounding that situation. You know, I feel how they would feel, sometimes more so than they even feel. I take it on like my own problem. So I have to kind of create boundaries and distance after a certain point. You know, if someone's just really going off the wall, I have to create boundaries and distance because for my own mental health and my own peace of mind, I have to. Otherwise, I'm going to be all in a tizzy and stressed out and anxious and stuff. And then I'm no good for anybody, you know? So that's that. But I thought that was very interesting in that scripture. And so that verse, Proverbs 27:6, has always resonated with me because it made me think about how often we don't speak the truth in love in our friendships. You know, how many times do we go along just to get along? How many times do we turn a blind eye to things that we know are just dead wrong? Like, you know, and I feel like in today's culture with just anything goes, you know, whatever resonates with your spirit at that time, just do it, you know, like we're Nikeing it up real bad, you know, just like, just do it till you're satisfied, do whatever you feel is right to you in that moment. And we have come a far cry away from true love. True love corrects. True love is like, whoa, wait a minute. You know, that ain't too good there. Like, let's bring it back. Let's scale it back. What are you doing? Let's get to the bottom of this. Like, you know, what's going on? Are you feeling some type of way? Like, is something else going on in your life that's triggering this? Like, what is happening? Like, what's going on? You know, it's almost like you're seen as the wet rag or like, you know, the mother of the group or, you know, just the buzzkill if you speak out or anything at best. And at worst, you're seen as a negative Ned or Nancy, the wolf in the pack, the hater. And it's just like, because I'm trying to, you know, make sure that I'm doing my part to encourage you to go down the right path. Like all of a sudden I'm a hater, you know, like we have just gotten to the point where we are so beyond correction. And I know it's like, yeah, you're not a child, you're an adult, but correct me. If you see me messing up, if you see me slipping, correct me, please. Like, don't let me just continue going down a spiral and you're just supporting me by being silent, quote unquote, supporting me. Like that, that doesn't make any sense. And don't go along to get along either. If you know I'm doing something that's messed up, I have the desire to do something that is foul, and I tell you I'm going to do it, and you never correct me on it, you never like call me out on it, and you're like, you know what, that's wrong, like that's not the way that you should be doing that, I'm gonna be side-eyeing you, even if it takes you a while. Because I'll be honest, there have been times my friends have told me they wanted to do stuff, and I'm like, nah, that's dead wrong. Because has somebody done that to you, or like, you had heard someone else do that, you would have been giving them the side eye. You would be like, wow, that's messed up, that's grimy, this or the third. But here you are trying to do the same thing. Here you are trying to put yourself in that kind of situation or whatever. And it might have taken me a little bit of time to work up the courage to say it, but I eventually said it. And it's just like, nah, like I can't sit here and co-sign that and be like, oh, that's cool, whatever the case may be. Like, I just can't, so it's not that I hate you. It's not that I have anything against you. But when it comes to this particular situation, I have to have some healthy boundaries for my own peace of mind, because I'm going to start feeling upset, like I'm involved, and it's just not a good look, So a true friend definitely should be able to call you out on your mess, but there is a way to do it. So again, I always have to say this whenever I say things like this. Calling out someone on their mess does not mean being rude and disrespectful. Constructive criticism does not mean tearing someone down and breaking their spirit. There's a way to say things and have a little decorum, have a little bit of tact. It's not hard to say things in a way that people understand you said what you said and you mean what you said, but you're not breaking someone down emotionally and mentally. Have a little decorum, please, because that can really just ruin the whole, shebang if you just come out of left field completely disrespectful and stuff like that. So make sure that you are creating that safe space, and make sure that you are thinking about, like, okay, if I was in this person's shoes, how would I want to be approached? Like, what would be the words that I would want someone to say to me? What would be their energy that I would want them to exhibit with this thing that they're telling me? What would be the atmosphere I would want it to be set in? Like, think about it. Have some consideration, because it's not easy to be called out. None of us like correction. We're not like, yes, correct me some more. Tell me how I'm messing up. Like none of us love that. It goes against our natural human inclination, but it's needed, especially if you consider someone to be a friend, a loved one, or whatever. So I wanted to point out 3 things as we dive into this more in particular, and then I will be out of you guys' here. Again, don't forget to follow and like this podcast on your platform of choice, and give it a rating, a 5-star rating, so it can get in front of the masses. It's free for you, and I appreciate it a ton. So this is one thing you should think about. Do you create a safe space for your friends to address things with you? Maybe you're the one that's just the one that's cutting up. Maybe you're the one that people are like, I don't know, and they're not sure how to talk to you because maybe you get easily offended. Are you the friend that can dish it out and you can't take it? Do you get easily offended? Maybe you deflect, and you get defensive, or you always feel like you're right, like you can never do wrong. You have to think about this, and to be able to get to this conclusion is going to take a good level of honesty with yourself. It's going to take a good level of saying, you know what, I am a problem when it comes to this. Like, I don't like nobody telling me nothing. I'm always dishing it out to someone else, but they're not, able to tell me. Like, I was watching a reality TV show, Reunion, and the ladies were telling one of the other ladies on the reunion show, about this reality TV show, that she's always the one expecting everybody else to be honest, expecting everybody else to be forthcoming, expecting everybody else to get it together, but she can't take it. Like, she's always in other people's business, like, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. But when it comes to her, it's like she's very tight-lipped and she just shuts down and kind of gets defensive and stuff like that. And it's like, you have to think, am I that person? Like, maybe you think that you take news well, but you don't, And I would say, like, look around you. Have people maybe tried in the past to talk to you, and now all of a sudden they're silent? Because remember, like I said, I don't keep talking after a while. Like, when I stop talking, that's when I no longer care. And a lot of the time that comes, I get to that point because I tried to talk before and I was shut down, or I was lashed out on, or something like that. I'm like, bump this. I'm not saying this no more, because what I'm not trying to do is tussle. Like, I know we like to tussle. I know the girls like to tussle, but I'm not I'm not trying to tussle with everybody 24/7 when I'm just trying to give you some good, loving, hearty advice, and to give you some guidance and encouragement to rise to the occasion of what you said you wanted for yourself or what I know you're capable of. So think about that, like, because they might be fed up. They might have tried in the past, and maybe you don't even remember. They might have tried in the past and it didn't go over well, and they're like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna say nothing else. I'm just gonna be quiet," because I'm not the only person like that. I know a lot of people that are like, "Oh, when I start talking, I don't care. Like, I'm mentally checked out. I'm, emotionally detached from the situation." Most times when people are bringing up something to you, is because they're emotionally attached to it. They care about you. They care about your outcomes in life. They care about where you end up. And so they're bringing it up because it's like a real person that cares wouldn't want to see you just go downhill. Like, they're going to bring it up. I would expect that. So, after some time, people will stop bringing things up because they don't want the headache of an argument and a tussle and, okay, I'm mad at you and we're beefing now. And especially if you got a group of friends and now y'all gonna be in the same room and it's always awkward, it's just like nobody wants to deal with that. So do you personally create a safe space for friends to tell you, like, hey, you're messing up, and whether it's a personal thing or whether it's something else in life. Like, I know for me, me and one of my close friends, I wouldn't say we got into it at the beginning of the year, but we had a very candid conversation about how certain things were done in a particular situation in her life. And we had that heart to heart. And it was just like, okay, well, the way that you handled the situation made me feel like A, B, C, D. It was more so me telling her how the situation was handled made me feel like A, B, C, D. Because I was kind of a part of it, like kind of sort of, but I wasn't like the main character in the situation, but I was involved, And so she didn't realize that at the time, but by me telling her, she was receptive. She could have blown up and said, well, that's a personal problem. That's on you. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Whoop-de-whoop, whoop-whoop-whoop. But she listened to me and she was like, and she empathized because she's an empath too, like me. But she was like, I could see how that made you feel that way. And I'm sorry, because I know how that feels because I've been in your shoes before. And so, I should have known better. I should have handled it better. And I just gave some advice, like, if something like this occurs again, or just in general, this will kind of be a good way to handle it, to process, pause, et cetera, et cetera. And so she was receptive. She explained some more because there was some miscommunication as to why things went the way they did, which made it look that the miscommunication was why it looked a little shady on my end, and so needless to say, she creates a safe space where it's like, okay, we can have these tough conversations. It might not be what I want to hear. Like I said, I don't know anybody that's smiling when they're being corrected or when like a flaw is being brought up or something. No one's like, yes, come on, tell me again. Like, we don't like that. It doesn't feel good, but it's necessary. So that's one thing. The second thing is, we've mistakenly added the connotation of being silent and turning a blind eye as being supportive. Again, I'm not saying everything has to be an argument. I'm not saying every little thing like, oh, why do you put creamer and sugar in your tea? You should be drinking black tea. Why do you cook your chicken this way when you should cook it that? Like, everything doesn't need to be a debate, an argument, or I want more for you, so bake your chicken instead of frying it. You get what I'm saying. Like, everything is not that deep. However, we also have to understand that if you do, like I said earlier, if you do see me going down a wrong path, making careless decisions, whatever the case may be, real love is going to call it out, because 9 times out of 10, when you really love somebody and you care for them as a friend, a lover, whatever, you're emotionally attached in some way. And so you hurt when you see them doing certain things and making certain decisions. You don't feel good about the direction that their life is going in certain instances, and so because that emotional attachment is there, you're going to be inclined to bring it up in some way, shape, or form, and to address it in some way, shape, or form. It might not be right away. It might not be immediately as those things are occurring, but it's definitely going to be at some point, and you're going to bring it up. So, I know it's going to be difficult because it's not easy even being the one that has to start this conversation, but it's a game changer and it makes a world of difference, and it's difficult to sit and watch your friends go down the wrong path. It's difficult to watch them like do things that are just not becoming of who they truly are. So, like I had said, me and my friends, we call each other out. Me and that particular friend I just told the story about, I've had other friendships that we call each other out on and things like that. And it was very therapeutic. It was like, wow, like I didn't know that, one, I was affecting you in this way by the way I'm carrying myself, the decisions I'm making, and so on and so forth. 2, that lets me know that at least there's some sort of safe space or trust there where you feel like you can come to me and I will be receptive. So that's a good look. The fact that you feel like you can tell me and it's not going to turn into this big blowout argument or whatever. And it shows that at the end of the day, you are like invested, at least a little bit in my well-being. So I know me and my friends, we do that. The few I have left at this point, because your girl has been in a purging season for a couple of years now, but to God be the glory, because a lot of those friendships had to end. I'll probably have to, have more talks about different varying levels of friendship and how it changes and things like that. But, it definitely is not supportive and loving to just continuously turn a blind eye and just go with the flow, just go along to get along, like be that friend that's okay saying, this isn't the best look, or whatever the case may be. Because again, we're in this point in society where it's just like, do whatever, do it till you're satisfied. I'm gonna ride with you. I'm not riding with you everywhere. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're a friend of mine, I'm not riding with you everywhere. Like you're gonna have to ride some places by yourself, because when you pass certain thresholds, your girl has to check out. Like I'm out, deuces. I don't know if you guys have seen that GIF. I don't know how you say it. I say GIF, the GIF. I don't know if you're seeing that GIF with the guy that just like throws up the peace sign and just evaporates in thin air. Like that would be me. Like, gotta go, because I know my limits, I know my boundaries, and I know what I don't put the people in my life through. And I am not about to endure certain things. Like I can endure, I have tenacity. I'm not saying that our friendship always has to be perfect and rainbows and butterflies, because that's unrealistic. But I'm not going to endure certain things. Like when it passes a certain level, it's like time for me to go, time for me to head out. Another thing to consider, the last thing, is there a level of honesty and transparency amongst your friends? Because this is something you got to think about too. If you don't have a level of transparency and honesty with your friends, I'd question if trust is really there. Because if you really trust someone, then you're going to be transparent around them. And when you're transparent around them, they're able to see the things that might need to be called out. So if you don't truly have trust there, you don't truly have transparency, in which case you can't really call anything out anyway, because I only know you on a surface level. I only see you when we go to brunch, once a month. I only see you when we go to a sports game together or whatever. Like we're not at that level yet. So, maybe you don't have any true close friends around you. Maybe you have a bunch of associates, and you might just be in that season. I know I've had seasons where I didn't really have any close friends. I just had associates, people I would talk to here or there. We might go get ice cream, we might go do some content or something like that, but we weren't having deep, vulnerable, trustworthy conversations and stuff like that, and letting each other into a point where there's enough that's known to even correct on or even encourage to be better on or anything like that. So that's one thing I would question. Like, do you have a level of trust and honesty in your friend group, your close friends particularly? I'm not talking associates, people that you just see at work or, at like a hobby or extracurricular activity or whatever. Like, I'm talking close friends, like people that you would say, these are my best friends or whatever. Are you guys vulnerable with each other? And if you're not, is there trust really there? Because if there's not trust there, I would say it might be time to rearrange your friendships. I'm not saying just cut them off, because I do believe that everybody serves a purpose for different seasons. Some people last longer than others in a friendship, but I would rearrange, because I know for me personally, again, just me personally, if I'm calling you a best friend, if I consider you a close friend, I need to be able to let my hair down with you. I know I've had friendships where, I felt like I had to put on when I was around them. I felt like I couldn't truly be Rondelle. I had to just be a version of myself. This particularly happens a lot. No shade, no tea, with friends that you meet at church. Church friends? Oh, we're going to have another podcast on that. Church friends are so complicated a lot of the time. It's just like, if we ain't, acting weird when one person don't go to the church anymore, like we on some gang type stuff, it's just like you're expected to be Holy Ghost filled, saved and sanctified 24/7. If you don't have a word for someone, if you're not laying hands, casting out devils, it's like, it just be a bit much. It's like y'all asking for a lot. Like I just met you at church, we connected. I'm just trying to take it day by day. Like you're asking for a lot from me right now. And as much as God might speak through me, as much as I might want a word or have a word or whatever, some days your girl is just ratchet. If you one of the previous episodes, I said, I'm sophisticated ratchet. Your girl be ratchet, so it's just like, I'm a work in progress. Okay. So don't come to me expecting me to be this like Jesus 2.0, so church friends, that's a whole podcast in and of itself. Okay. That's a whole conversation that needs to be had. But I felt like I had to be a version of myself. Like, I couldn't just let my hair down and just be me, like literally just be me, exactly who I am, sophisticated and ratchet, all of that. Like, I had to just be that saved, sanctified box. And, heaven forbid they follow you on social media and stuff too. Then it's like, I was at the point in those seasons where it's like, ooh, let me not post this, let me not post that, because they might judge. I'm talking things where it's like, you shouldn't even be questioning to post, because some things are better left unposted, but I'm talking about things where it's just like, I shouldn't even be stressed about posting this. Like, this is too much for me. So, I would really just ask yourself, like, do we have a level of transparency and trust and all that? Like, and if we don't, why don't we? And do I want to try to get there with these people? Or do I want to just maybe do some rearranging and put them in the associate box versus the close friends box? Because personally, for me, I feel like if it just ain't working, it just ain't working. Like, if I don't feel that with you, I'm not going to try to manufacture that feeling. I feel like the best friendships are those that happen organically. All of my best friends that I'm best friends with to this day, I don't remember exactly when we became best friends. I might remember where I met them. Like, my oldest best friend, I met her in 9th grade in PE class. And ever since then, we got closer and closer to the point where now we're like, over 20 years in friendship or whatever. Like, so I might remember things like that, but I can't tell you like, we did this and then we became close. Like, all of my closest friends, it just happened. So I feel like you will know, like, your souls will connect. You'll feel that energy between you guys and it'll just flow. If you got to force it, personally, for me, if I have to like put a lot of effort into us becoming like super transparent and vulnerable and all that, I'm not interested. Like, you're just going to be rearranged into an associate, and that's that. So, I would really consider these things as to why maybe your friends aren't calling you out. Are you creating the safe space for them? Are you buying into society's connotation of what a friend is, quote unquote, and just turning a blind eye and staying tight-lipped when you should be speaking up and encouraging and sharpening? Or, are you not at that level of trust and vulnerability with your friend circle to where a call out can happen, because it will be kind of like out of place, sort of. So consider those things, reevaluate, your friend circle, and be the friend that is not afraid to speak up with decorum and tact and respect and love. Okay. Like, it all matters in how you say it, but don't not say it at all, because ultimately we all want to be sharpened, and iron sharpens iron. And let's not comfort our friends with a lie. Let's, be truthful and let them know that it's coming from a place of love. So that's it, sis, for this episode. Again, don't forget to rate it, give a thumbs up, follow, like, whatever you have to do on your platform of choice. I will see you on the next episode, and let me know, like, are you the friend that does the calling out? Have you had transparent friendships? Are you more so the turn a blind eye and stay tight-lipped friend? Like, let me know in the comments, and I will see you later. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of For My Sisters with Delle podcast. Don't forget to keep the conversation going and use the hashtag For My Sisters Pod on social media so I can see you and show you some love. If there are any topics you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, be sure to email formysisterspodcast@gmail.com. I'll see you on the next episode. Love you. Bye.